Everyone. Glad you could join us for this Year 9 and 10 chat session with the school. So thank you for joining us, and thank you to the school staff. I'd like to first begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we're meeting today, and pay my respects to their elders past and present. I extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples here today. So my name's Damien Marinaro. I am the School Council President, and I'm glad to be able to bring you this evening of information. We have Amanda Mullins, the School Principal, online. We have Ms. Helene Refuerzo, the Assistant Principal for the middle school. And also online, we have Ms. Roberta Bakatic, Director of Middle School, and Rebecca Scott, Year 10 Coordinator, and Ms. Leslie McLaughlin, Year 9 Coordinator. And we have Greg Lentini and Narelle Bean, Assistant Principals, who will be on the chat, monitoring your questions on the chat line. So without further ado, I'd like to hand over to our School Principal, Amanda Mullins, who will take you through some of the answers to some of the questions that have been sent through so far.
Thanks, Damien. I'll just also say Renee Dowling has come online, and that's okay. That's she's our wellbeing director of wellbeing, and Jenny Devereaux is also online, and she'll talk to you about. There was quite a few questions about careers and pathways that Year 9 and 10 students need to start to consider. And we've also got Elmas Waleed, who is part of our school council. So thank you for coming on. I'm just going to share now my PowerPoint. I'm assuming everybody can see a PowerPoint now? Yes, thank you.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, our middle school team, who you waved very nicely to us, these four ladies. So the assistant principal, Miss Helene Refuerzo, works directly with the director of middle school, who's Miss Roberta Bakatic, and Leslie McLaughlin is our Year 9 coordinator, and Rebecca Scott is our Year 10 coordinator. So they work as a team together to support the Year 9 and 10 students. I'm just going to let you know of a few results from last year. So our 2020 results we were really pleased with, because we saw in the media, and we know what last year was like, and there was large amounts of time at home. We did focus on supporting the Year 12 students coming into the end of their year. It was quite different for them, and the amount of time spent supporting the Year 12s was quite extensive, and we're really proud of those students and the staff and the results that we achieved. So these are just trends across the last 3 years of students above 90 ATAR. Now this is both IB students as well as VCE students. Our VCE results have pretty much remained the same over the last 3 years, with 25, 26 and 24 students receiving scores above 90. In 2018, we had 5 students above 90. In 2019, 5 students above 90 in the IB. And last year, 12 students above 90 in IB. And we're concentrating all the time. VCE has been around for about 30 years and or similar, whereas the IB is quite new to the school. So there is always work going on all the time for improvement across the board. Our 2020 results and where students went. So what happens when they're in Year 12 is that they have to choose their pathway going on to university or TAFE or into the workforce. We have really high success rates of students getting the courses that they want. Last year, we had 98% of students getting a first round offer. That means their first choice was offered to them. So we're pretty proud of these results, that students are getting into the pathways that they want to go into. So you can see in 2019, it was getting closer up to 99%, and the improvement that's been over 2018 and 17. So we very much focus on the student pathways and supporting them, not just in year 12, but down when we're in year 9 and 10, to start that journey and to be knowing what their goal is and where they want to go to. So we're doing a lot more work in the next 4 years of the strategic plan to be working on pathways and to continue to support the students to get where they want to go. Students that choose to do VCAL, so students that want to do more applied learning, might be looking at year 10, they're thinking, I want to go into the workforce, or I'm interested in an apprenticeship. They're just as important. The 3 strands, VCAL, the International Baccalaureate and the VCE, are all seen as even pathways to us. So they're all a way to get to where students want to be. This graph here looks at 7 of the students went straight into employment. 14 went on to further education. So that means students that are doing VCAL are going into TAFE and continuing on with their certificates. So go on to Certificate 4, often in the VET pathways that they have done in year 11 and 12. 5 students in year 12 went into an apprenticeship or traineeship, and 1 went to another option, and often that is a Defence Force option that they will go into. What's interesting here, though, that these students, that when they started off in year 11, 10 of them got an apprenticeship while they were in year 11. So whilst they didn't finish their VCAL certificate, they've got the pathway that they wanted by going into an apprenticeship during their year 11 year, which we see as a real success. Robbie, would you like to go on from here?
Absolutely. Hi, so I'm the Director of Middle School, Roberta Bakatic. So with the tutoring program, look, 2020 was an extraordinary year, full of challenges with the remote learning. So the Victorian government invested millions of dollars in a program called Tutor Learning Initiative. And this was to provide tutors for students that were identified that needed the extra support for their learning within English and maths. So as you can see there, well, the students have been identified through testing, reports, teacher observations and student work samples, as indicated there on the slide. The school, we've organised the timetable for each individual student of this particular tutor program to ensure minimal disruptions to their learning. So as you can see with English, so support in writing and English skills, they do get withdrawn out of class, but it's over a block of a 5-week block, 3 times per week. That's 3 times per week. We try never to do the same times per week because we don't want to withdraw them from the same subjects every week. So we try to navigate around their timetable, and this is indicated on their Compass timetable. So you're aware of this. With the maths support, the extra tutors are within the classroom. Now, those students that weren't selected for tutoring, I have received some emails. So I will indicate that we also have a maths homework club, and that's every Monday and Wednesday during lunchtime within the middle school office building, so building N. If you don't remember that, just send students over to the middle school office and we can help them out with that.
So I'll just add there, Robbie, that with the tutoring, students they might not have been in the first round of tutoring, but we are continuing to identify students that need support. I've been speaking to year 12 students, and we've put also supports in at the top end. So we run extra chemistry classes for students that feel that they might have been left behind a little bit or need extra support in their VCE subjects as well. So it's at year 9 and 10 is the withdrawal and the extra math support, but there's also there's different supports at VCE level. Thanks, Robbie.
Thanks. So Compass, this is our main communication platform. You will receive lots of notifications from us. You've probably received some recently from Amanda regarding the mask policy updates. So these are constant updates throughout the year. You can also update your details via Compass. You can email teachers. So if you have a concern of a particular class, you can email teachers. If you're receiving other notifications, such as general observations from teachers, assessment tasks, you can have a look at results there for individual classes. On your Compass profile, if you select the profile, you can also indicate whether your child has attended, their timetable. You can view their timetable and reports. So you can have a look at a record of their view, a whole view of their academic reports over the years. You can order your photos online there. You can book parent-teacher interviews. And the best thing now, you don't have to go up to the general office and wait in line. You can just do parent payments via Compass as well. Do you have anything to add to that, Amanda? Or any?
Don't think so.
Yeah. Regarding reporting, so you'll be receiving reports as early as next week. So that's our first round of reports. These are short and smaller, concise reports. They will only indicate your child's academic progress and effort and application. So academic progress, it'll be, you know, are they meeting the requirements and outcomes of the subject, or are they at risk? For effort and application, it will indicate whether they're at a high level, medium, low level, not satisfactory, or not applicable. You'll also gain another 2 reports during term 2 that are very similar to that. In fact, the same as that. Now, our more detailed reports is at the end of semester 1, and that comes later at the end of June, so 24th of June to be exact, for our end of year semester 1 reports. But along the way, you also have assessment task results on Compass for each individual subject, and that's just constant updates. Your teacher, parent, so you'll be able to book your interviews for parent-teacher interviews at the end of term 1 very soon. So that's on the 29th of March. And parent-teacher interviews will be online Wednesday from 4 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. and Thursday, the 1st of April from 9 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. And of course, you will receive a notification via Compass to remind you of this.
A decision was made with, and I know there's some parents that really loved it last year. Actually, feedback was really positive about the online parent-teacher interviews. They're very efficient. They're quite effective. It saves time coming to the school and going home again. There are often at times parent-teacher interviews where life at home is really busy as well. Of all the kids that you have to feed and those in sports and getting around all those type of things. We made the decision as a college for term 1 only this year because of COVID and the fact that we can go into lockdown and be told, and then within hours we've been in lockdown, as the last 5-day one was. We've decided to make these type of this tonight being online, but also our interviews online just for term 1, just to save that double planning of everything that we had to do last year and send out information to parents, only to have to resend it again if something happens. So normally we would be face-to-face, or we're looking at having a hybrid of some face-to-face and some online, but for this term, we will just remain online. Thanks, Rob.
Yeah, you want me to take over, Amanda?
So, yep, tests and exams. So there is, it starts in Year 9 that we, the testing continues at the, in all subjects, and they're done at various times according to timelines that are drawn up within those subject areas, and they're completed during class time. but official exams start at mid-year for Year 9. So, and we start the practice early, purely as having practice for coming into Year 12. So students in Year 12, there's lots of rules around, not looking sideways and things like that, or what I can bring into an exam, what I can't bring into an exam, down to, clear water bottles and the type of calculators I can bring. There's lots of rules when we get to the end of school. So we start these practices early so that they're just students know also how long they've got to sit in a room and sit on their own and actually complete a paper. So it's just a different setup, but it is all about practice at this stage in Year 9. So this is students haven't done them in Year 7 and 8, but they have done tests in class. It's pretty much just making them a little bit more official of how we set them up. It's still a test though. Jenny Devereaux, can I call on you please to take us on from here?
No worries. Hello everyone. I'm Jenny Devereaux, the Careers Counsellor at Werribee Secondary, and I've been in that position for a number of years now. I work with another team of people, and I suppose this slide gives you an overview of who works in the careers team. There's myself, and I'm responsible for counselling of students in terms of post-schooling, so when they finish school in Year 12 and where they'd like to go after that time, but also I counsel and work with students at all different year levels, depending on need as well. And I do work quite closely with Year 9s and 10s in a number of ways, and I was going to explain that to you today, not just me, but my team also. So there's myself, Claire Garmes is pictures here, and she's currently doing a position in careers education. There's been an initiative from the government in the last couple of years that careers needs to be taught from an earlier year level. So she is given a time allowance. She's a teacher of psychology and maths, but she's given a time allowance to work with careers education for Year 7, 8 and 9 students and produce curriculum, because our students do careers curriculum over those year levels. Gabrielle Pino is another woman who works in the careers team who works in vocational education and training. So in Year 11 and 12, students can do a VET subject in VCE or in VCAL. They must do a VET subject, and she's responsible for enrolling students in VET and supporting students through that process, and also finding work placements for those, structured work placements for those students. And we have a new member of staff who is T. Montague, who is a careers assistant, and he does careers admin, and he's also responsible for doing work experience, which leads to something that's done in Year 10, and I'll explain a little bit more in a moment. Thank you, Amanda. Okay, so I thought you'd like an overview of some of the things within careers and pathways that happen with students in Year 9 and Year 10. So in Year 9, as I said a moment ago, Claire is responsible for RRP classes. So students do careers curriculum in their RRP classes, particularly in term 3 for Year 9s. So that's the term where they will be undertaking tasks in that area. There's also some other initiatives as well, and some really important things that your sons or daughters may undertake in Year 9. As of 2019 was the first time we ever did Moresby testing. So Moresby testing is a situation where students all go online for approximately 3 periods, and we're doing this testing in July of this year, and they are tested on their numerical, spatial, verbal skills, mechanical skills and aptitudes as well. So they do a number of different tasks, and all that information is put together and then sent to the student and also to the parents as well of those students in Year 9. So it's a great way to assess a student's strengths and also their abilities and their aptitudes in certain areas. And from that information, they receive course counselling, which I'll explain in a moment, but they also assist them with subject selection and course selection that they might want to do in Year 11 and 12, and in Year 10 as well. So we start early at Year 9 where they do this testing. They also, in November, aligned with that is we have outside career consultants, and this happens in all government schools now in Year 9, and they come into the school in November of each year, and they sit down with each individual student for half an hour each, and they talk about their Moresby results, what those the testing has demonstrated, and also talk to them about their career, and parents are welcome to come to those sessions as well. Last year we had to do them online, but the year previous was great because we did them at the school, and many parents came along and found them very worthwhile to discuss their sons and daughters and their plans and goals for the future and how they performed on those areas. So it is a worthwhile process. The other thing is that I've been to some committee meetings recently at the school, and we are considering bringing in more opportunity for Year 9 students to take an early study in Year 10. Currently, we have students who do VCE subjects. Only a very limited number of students can do VCE subjects in Year 9, in Year 10 and 11, but we are considering broadening that, and hopefully there will be more opportunity for students in Year 9 to choose an early VCE study. That would mean that they would start their VCE if they were to wanted to continue with VCE, they would start it in Year 10. So they might choose one VCE subject and do the Year 11 course while they're in Year 10, and then the Year 12 course while they're in Year 11, thereby getting 6 subjects in Year 12 VCE as opposed to 5, which is how some students, or how that generally works. So that's something you may hear about more as the year goes on, as our committee meets and as we make some more decisions and changes about that. So hopefully that's a good opportunity for many Year 9 students for next year. Okay, Year 10. A number of different activities in Year 10, and it's a very important year for students because, of course, as you know, they need to decide if they're going to do VCAL, VCE or IB once they go into Year 11. So there's a few different career activities. They've already gone to a presentation regarding work experience, and our main work experience is in December every year. So students can participate in that if they would like to, and they've been told all about that. So some of them are busily thinking about places they can go and investigating that and coming into our office and doing everything that's required. Again, these students have RRP classes, and we do another program called Career Voyage in Term 2, where students actually are given lots of different job suggestions that seem to, that they can investigate and look at for the future, because we want students to have maybe just more than one plan, you know, because I think they tend to be, they tend to meet the challenge and they tend to have a firmer idea of where they want to go in the future. So that's another program. Next term, in the early weeks of between week 1 and 5, they will sit down to assemblies, 3 separate assemblies, one that will go over the entire VCAL program, one assembly that the senior school will run on the VCE program, and another assembly where the IB will be discussed in that program. So the students will be given information about all those programs. They also will go to information sessions at school on all the different subjects that are within those programs, and we've already organised that for week 6. The other thing that will be happening this year in week 6 is we will be having our own career expo subject, both about subjects and also about careers. So that will be happening on week 6 of term 2, and it's going to be happening at 3 o'clock in the afternoon till 5:30. And teachers will be there, but also university representatives and other apprenticeship groups and things of that nature. And we'll run a parent session at 6 o'clock for all the parents who'd like to come for an information session, and they can come to the expo too. So we're hoping that will be a really good way for people to ask questions and find out much more about all the different courses. So that will be happening week 6. By the end of that term, all of the students in Year 10 will be counselled about what course they'd like to do, and they hopefully will have made all their choices for their subjects. So as I said, term 2 is jam-packed for Year 10s, and it seems early to be making decisions, but we've had students doing it this way for a long, long time, and they seem to make some quite good ones. And at the end of the year, we just confirm again with them that they're still on the same track that they want to be on, that the subjects they've chosen are correct, they've chosen the right program, and we confirm with them in November before they start the following year. So that's year 10. So I hope you found that informative. I know it's a lot of information, but you know, if you've got questions, we're in the careers office and students can come in and talk to us at recess and lunch anytime. So we're there to assist. Okay, thank you. Nice to hope you've found it informative.
Thanks, Jenny. Okay, Helene, there was a number of parents that wanted to know more information and a comparison of what's the difference between IB and VCE, the International Baccalaureate and the Victorian Certificate of Education. Can you take us through this, please?
Yes, thank you, Amanda, and thank you, Jenny. I think that was a really good segue for this section of our presentation tonight. IB or VCE, that should really be a question mark there. I'm not quite sure why there's a year 11 in there. So IB or VCE is a question that we often get asked. A lot of you would probably be, would probably remember a conversation with me last year when you enrolled your children in year 10, because this is always a question that pop up. Do I get my child to do IB or VCE? And the answer to that really is, I guess it really is dependent on the aspirations and the goals of your child and what they're good at or what their interests are and their passions are. So what I'm going to show you today is really a side-by-side comparison. So you would have heard from Amanda earlier that we have 3 equally good pathways at Werribee. Our students are extremely successful in all of these pathways. The IB, VCE, and our VCAL students are always getting good results. So they're all equal pathways. One is not better than the other. A side-by-side comparison of IB and VCE would look something like this. So the first thing that I guess, really good to look at is the focus or the approach of each of these programs. Both of them are rigorous preparations for university, but IB has got a more holistic approach in preparing students for future pathways, whereas the VCE is more focused on the academic outcomes. And you'll see why in the next section of it, what students learn and how they learn in IB and VCE. So let's take a look at the IB first. In IB, students are required to take one in each of the subject groups. And the subject groups are English, a second language, which is a Spanish ab initio that we offer at Werribee, humanities, mathematics, and science. And the 6th subject is a subject of their choice. So it could be either an arts subject or performing arts, or another extra science, for example. And it could be dependent also on the prerequisite that they needed for university. So say, for example, they would like to take up a science degree or a medical degree, then they have to take up an extra science for that as a prerequisite. Now, in VCE, students will have to take an English and may choose only subjects that they're good at or interested in. For example, students who may want to take up engineering would want to have mostly science or math subjects in VCE, and that's fine. They're not required to take up an art subject or a humanities subject. The VCE is also derived from what we call a study design. And this has got requirements for teachers across Victoria to follow, and it's a set curriculum. So the VCE is really a curriculum-driven and content-focused framework. In the IB, students really dive deep into inquiry and critical thinking aspect of the courses. And there is also what we call core elements of the IB, which are the extended essay, wherein they're required to complete a 4,000-word essay on a topic of their interest or choice, and theory of knowledge, which is about critical and creative thinking, and that CAS component, or what we call the community action and service. So for EE and talk, it is part of what they call the IB the IB grade that they get at the end of year 2 or year 12. And the CAS is something that they are required to do, but they don't necessarily get a grade for. But it is something that they must complete because it encourages students to explore community service, to act, to develop themselves, and to explore and be part of the wider community. So this is a more holistic approach in terms of preparing students for the IB, for the future pathways. Universities really look favorably on IB students because of these aspects as well. So how are they scored? IB students are scored based on the what we call internal assessments. VCE students have got the school assessed coursework, so they're pretty similar. However, the IAs in IB has got more of that inquiry-based concepts driven approach with a reference to global contexts. They get a score out of 45, a total score of 45, maximum score of 7 per subject, and the 3 other components, come from the EE and talk. Now, the main difference between IB and VCE as well is that IB is criterion based, so it's dependent on a set of criteria that students must satisfy for their assessments, and that then determines the combined score, which is then converted into an ATAR. So they are not ranked with other students, unlike the VCE where you're actually ranked, and that's how you get your ATAR score in VCE. Now, who is suited for the program? I think this is something that we mentioned earlier. It really is dependent on the aspirations and the goals of the students. And IB will suit more of those students who would like to explore, discover themselves further, maybe develop themselves as independent and critical and creative thinkers. Whereas the IB VCEs, the VCE students might suit those students who are academic driven and has got a particular focus on an area of specialization, for example, science and maths or humanities or arts. So that's the main difference between the two pathways. And that's also something that we're looking at in the next slide, which is the IB Link program. I know that we've got some questions that we'd like answered at the end of this slide as well. So the IB Link program is a program in year 10, specifically targeting our students to be better prepared for the IB diploma program in year 11 and 12. And like the MYP program, which is the middle years program, our IB Link in year 10 prepares our students to be more engaged, being creative and globally aware students. We still follow the Victorian curriculum, but with greater emphasis on inquiry-based learning. This year, we're also exploring some of those interdisciplinary learning, like I said earlier about global contexts and the promotion of critical and creative thinking. So we have these subjects that you can see in front of you. We've got the IB Link English, which is really, a preparation for the studies in language and literature in IB DP program. We have the language elective on OFA, which is Mandarin. We don't offer Spanish because Spanish is taken in year 11 and 12 as ab initio, first time experience in that language. So we cannot really offer the Spanish for year 10. We have the humanities, which is geography and history. then science-focused subject on chemistry, physics, and biology is a preparation for that as well. Our IB Link Mathematics is geared towards preparing our students for both the standard level and the higher level mathematics in year 1 and 2 of IB. And then we have the electives, which are the arts, technology, and a compulsory elective subject, which is what we call the community service elective. This elective prepares them for CAS in year 1 and 2 of IB, and also gives them credit for the CAS component of the IB in year 11 and 12. So I guess this really is a good preparation for our students for more of that critical thinking and creative thinking and exploration of their passion and skills by the time they get to the DP program. I guess this is also a good time for me to answer some of the questions regarding the individual goal setting that was posed by one of our parents around individual goal setting, particularly in the MYP. So the school is not accredited for MYP just yet. We do have the IB Link program to prepare or give students some I suppose background skills and knowledge that they need to be able to successfully complete the DP program. We're not an MYP school just yet, although we have the IB Link, and we're currently having a trial in year 7 in our GEMS program to really use the good pedagogy that is the IB framework at school. One of the things that we have launched this year is what we call the professional learning communities. It's actually an initiative of the government as part of the framework for improving students' outcomes. And Amanda might want to add more to these. In the PLC process, we do have formative assessments of our students, and during and within that process, we would be able to identify the individual goals, so that then we can move students from one point to the next stage of their learning. And so that's really how we set the goals, and we identify the next steps for our students to progress in their learning. So it's not something that is unique to our year 10 program, but it's something that happens all across the school from year 7 all the way up to year 12, and that's within our PLC the PLC work at the school. Amanda, would you like to add more to that?
I'll just clarify, because what you'll find here is there's lots of acronyms, lots of letters. So MYP is the middle years program of the International Baccalaureate. So this is what students would do at years 7, 8, and 9. And then the DP is the diploma. And the diploma is what they do in year 11 and 12. They don't call it year 11 and 12 in the International Baccalaureate. They call it year 1 and year 2. So there's two they're quite different, but the MYP, the middle years program, is building the skills so that they can take on the diploma coming into year 11 and 12. And just to reiterate, ab initio was something that I had to learn when I first came. The ab initio means that they've never done the subject before. So if we do Spanish, and this isn't just going over, we can't do Spanish in year 10, because if they choose to go into year 1 of IB, they have to be learning Spanish for the very first time. And what's quite remarkable is that they can, by the end of 2 years, it's really full on, and they're examined in Spanish, but having never studied it before. So, and it's quite challenging. There are lots of letters, and this is what happens in education. There's lots of acronyms for everything, and it's hard to keep up with. Okay, we'll just move on then. I get questions a lot about extracurricular activities, and there is a lot of extracurricular activities at all schools that you go to. And I've listed some here of the clubs and the opportunities that students can join in. We do have cadets, and some of you will have students that are in cadets. They meet on a Monday night after school. That's run externally to the school, but it is a school-based program. We have a cafe club where students, especially the ones that are interested in their cooking or might be interested in going into hospitality, they're very much drawn to the cafe club, and they actually run a proper cafe. A chess club, very popular, the chess club. Debating has about 70 students in it at the moment, and debating is that they go and they compete outside of the school against other school teams. K-pop, library reading club, manga club, maths homework club. I'm not quite sure if students consider that a club, but they can join in, and like-minded kids that want to support each other with their maths homework. They have a news feed and public speaking, which goes along with debating as well. Last year, a student-led Instagram was initiated, and if you have a look at the picture here, there is also online news. This is the news feed that gives students videos to know what is actually involved in all of the clubs that we have up. All students have access to that news feed. Going back to the Instagram though, this is a safe environment. I'm actually a member of it, as are other staff, and it is managed by the school captains, and they only allow students to come into that Instagram, the Werribee Secondary College Instagram, that are students of the school. So it's not something that is open for anybody to come into. They have to be students within the school. The kids lead a number of competitions, and they do this often. A lot of them are around being creative and showing their ability in art or their theatrics or their music, poetry competitions. So lots of students use the Instagram, and it's becoming more and more popular. At the moment, there's an art competition up around global issues that are happening around the world that they can represent in their using art. We also have a textile group, students that like to make things. Number of wellbeing clubs, and often we start different wellbeing opportunities up at lunchtime, depending on needs. So the wellbeing do a lot of supportive groups. One of them is starting up around understanding money and opportunities through using technology. Many sports, we have sporting groups going out every week. So we encourage students to be members of a sporting team that will go and compete again at the local level against other school teams. As they win, they keep on going to regional level and to Victorian level. So we have lots of success there. There is also a lot of music opportunities. There's choir and many bands, and who often practice after school. We also run there'll be theatre groups that will then have performances as the year goes on as well. So there's lots of opportunities to do things beyond studying in every class, and we encourage students to be members and to be active members of lots of opportunities within the school that we offer. Transport is a question that sometimes comes up, and we get asked to change bus routes. We're not able to change any public transport bus routes, and you will see that buses do come in of a morning from areas that don't have a public transport bus line. So these go to remote areas, and they are contract bus services, which we don't have a lot of control over. The Public Transport Victoria decide whether to run extra buses or new buses to accommodate student travel. Greg Lentini, the assistant principal who is on tonight, does oversee the transport. So any questions, I suggest that you email him, but it's not something that we can easily have control over and can't just organise new school buses or bus routes dependent on what the needs are. We have a new website. It's been up and running probably for about a year now, and that's being built more and more all the time. It is up to date, and it is where you go on and you will get the most up-to-date information, or forms that you have to fill out, or book lists, those type of things, options that are coming up, things on the calendar. So things like tonight, they're advertised if you want to book in a tour, those type of things. So I suggest that you have a look at what is on the website, because quite often your questions will be answered. It is really extensive, and we're making a really, really big effort to make sure that it is always up to date with the latest information. It is a role of a member of our school to make sure that this is maintained. So it really is something that I encourage you to look at first. If you need to have a question that you need answered, then I suggest that the website is the first place that that you start, because we're pretty confident that we're getting more and more information there that's relevant for parents and students. And our contacts. So if you have an academic concern around an individual subject, then you're more than welcome to contact the teacher via email. And Robbie did say earlier that teacher emails are available through Compass. So you will see the teacher and their name and their email address that you can use Compass to email an individual teacher. If you've got concerns over multiple subjects, then I suggest that you contact the year level coordinator, starting off via email. If you ring up, they still have a teaching load. You're not guaranteed to be able to speak with them. So if you have your details and a message on the email, they will get back to you. So if you've got a student who's in Year 9, you would go to Leslie McLaughlin, and her email is there. You might find that there is also a Werribee email that is the link on Compass. We do have 2 emails, which can be confusing. You are more than welcome to email the same message to both emails. The Year 10 coordinator is Rebecca Scott, and the director of middle school is Roberta Bakatic. And as long as you know those names, except for Rebecca, she's got a number 2 after hers, because there must be 2 Rebecca Scotts that are teachers. They've all got the same @education.vic.gov.au, and it's all our first name dot second name. So it's quite, it's the same for everybody. So mine is amanda.mullins@education.vic.gov.au. So that will always help you. And Damien, I might go back to you to close off the PowerPoint before we see the questions.
Sure, thanks, Amanda. So just briefly, hopefully over the last 2-3 years, however long you've been with us at Werribee, you've heard of the College Council. So myself and Almas are parent representatives on council. And council looks at the broad aspects, the direction of the school and the policies. So, for example, the mobile phone policy that was recently introduced by the department comes through College Council, where we debate how it fits in within our specific school needs. We also have some of the other oversight of uniform policy and the like. So College Council also looks at the finances of the school and has oversight of the budgeting and where the money is being spent, and the environment of the school, so the physical areas. So a lot of College Council business, we meet once a month as a full council, but a lot of the business is done through committees, which cover those different areas. So we have a curriculum management committee that looks at those policy aspects, that looks at more the teaching aspects. And we have an environment committee that looks at the physical grounds, so what the grounds need. So a lot of the recent developments, the signage around the school, a lot of the upgrades to the facilities come through the environment committee, as well as the wellbeing side of it. So we also discuss the health and safety around the school. And then there's a finance committee, which looks at the budgeting and the finance and expenses, and provides the oversight over that. And we then have our Parents and Friends Committee, which is a general way for parents to be involved outside of those three specific committees. Now, to be on the College Council requires, as we recently went through, the nomination occurs once a year. So keep an eye out for those if you have an interest on being on the full council. But we also have the ability to take on people that have an interest in one of the specific committees. And you don't need to be elected on. It's approaching the school principal and having a discussion about your areas of interest and how you think you can help and contribute. And we welcome people, in particular those with a finance background or maths that can help us on the finance committee. But across all the committees, we can certainly use parent input. And at the moment, we're meeting like this via WebEx. Pre-COVID days, we would meet face-to-face at the school, and we'll see how we progress along. But certainly having this capability to meet remotely has helped a lot of us have greater access to the committees. Now you can also interact with us by contacting myself or Almas or the other parent reps. You can find our names on the school website, and myself, I have one of the education contacts. So in the newsletter, where I usually try to write down a bit of what's happening in College Council for the month, you will find my contact as well. So you can certainly contact me at any time if you either have feedback on what you see is occurring within College Council or on things that are occurring around the school, or if you'd like to bring up issues. So we don't work on the operational side, so how the teaching is done, some of the disciplinary aspects, but we do certainly have that broader overview. So we can bring some of your concerns to College Council for discussion, further discussion, to discuss it with the staff representatives there. So thanks for your time. And we'd love to get any further questions on the chat. And if there's anything that hasn't been raised at the moment, I'll take this opportunity to thank the staff too for their time tonight. So it's been fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I just give you a minute? And if there is any other questions, pop them in the chat. Renee Dowling has also put her, so she's renee.dowling. Renee, is there anything that you would like to address to the Year 9 and 10 parents?
Hi everyone. I think we all agree that last year was the year that we'd like to forget. Unfortunately, we can't just forget it. It did happen and it has had an impact on kids. So I guess my address to you is this: you know your kids better than anyone else. If you've noticed that they are not transitioning back or not bouncing back the way that you expected them to, if you feel you have concerns that by now we're in week, gosh, what are we, week 5, 6? I would expect now they should be starting to settle into the normal routine. If you have any queries or concerns whatsoever, we've got a really well-resourced wellbeing team with qualifications in social work, psychology. We've also got a partnership with Monash University where we have Masters of Social Work and Counselling students from the Department of Education at Monash. So we've got some great resources if your children would like to see one of us. So please don't hesitate. Contact one of the year level leaders, or you've got my details directly and I'll pass it on to Amy de Thomasis, who's one of the wellbeing people. But we are all, we're a whole team. We're all here to support you. So any questions, if you don't want to do it publicly, that's fine. You just email me privately. Thank you.
Thanks, Renee. I'm just doing a quick check of the questions. If anybody else has a question that they need to answer. There will be more information around the International Baccalaureate. It is a difficult thing to get your head around because it's not just part of our natural education that we've probably all gone through ourselves. So there will be a specific International Baccalaureate information evening that we will go into more depth to be able to help you understand more about what it is. But it is, I understand the difficulty in knowing all the intricacies of the International Baccalaureate, and it's quite different language, educational language, than probably what you've been used to. But there will be more information coming. Okay, so I think we've probably answered all the questions, which I thank all of the parents that provided me questions. I tried to design the information evening tonight around your questions of what are the things that you want to know. So I thank you for replying. It is a good way to make sure that I'm actually giving you the information you need. So, and I find it quite helpful. So anybody that, if you see a form come out previous to an information session, by all means, please, I really do use it. And I think the fact that there hasn't been a lot of questions on the chat, I think I must have answered most of your queries. So, and Leslie, who I'm sorry we went, can you wave to us, Leslie? She's, yep, so she's on. We must have gone to the PowerPoint as you got on, so I apologise for that. So thank you to my staff for coming on. We've got another session tomorrow night for the VCE, Year 11 and 12. The PowerPoint will be sent out to you. I have recorded it. It will come out to all the parents of Year 9 and 10, so that you've got, you can go back over that information. And if there's any further questions, you have the emails there of all of us. So I thank you all for coming on, and I encourage you to, when we have information evenings, whether they be at school or online, please come along, because it helps everybody to be informed. So thank you, everyone. Go and cook your dinner now and enjoy your evening. Thank you.